And if you're a 4 thinking you're a 9, there's some discrepancies there. I mean, 4s need love too, right? You heard of this phrase, sexual market value.
Yes, I've heard of that before.
This is basically where everyone stands when they talk about high value men, high value women. Where are people standing when it comes to dating?
Okay.
And a lot of people aren't seeing themselves for who they truly are. And it takes someone like Kevin Samuels to shine a light on the ignorance that people move through life with in order to finally make some headway in coming together, because we need each other, right? Men and women need each other. It may be a war, quote unquote, but at the end of the day, we need each other. So how can we move to a place where we can actually help each other grow? Well, it needs to start with honesty. And if you're a 4 thinking you're a 9, there's some discrepancies there. I mean, 4s need love too, right? Let's be real about it. Everybody needs love. And there is someone out there for everyone.
There's a 444.
There's a 444.
544.
But don't be thinking that you a 9 walking around with 4 attitude and...
You see, you are Kevin Samuels. And it's like you're tall like him.
Was he tall?
Very tall. Okay. Well kept. He's taller. He's a little taller than you, but like very well kept. He was to the T. Like,
sure.
I'm talking about everything. Like when you meet him, it's kind of like, oh, and I'm like, oh, that's just Kevin.
Sure.
That's just me. But other people would be intimidated by him. But I'm just like, that's just fucking Kevin. Like he just don't take him serious. He's just literally talking shit. I swear to God. But like it really hit home. But he also had a huge female base too, because they trusted him and they called him every day. Sure. He did get a lot of backlash, especially when it came to fat women.
What?
Yeah. Like you.
Delusional girl math.
You're seeking out a mate. Why? You want to build something.
Sure.
She got to create it. You have to meet your mate to create it so that you can build it.
But that looks different than it did 50 years ago.
No, it's still the same thing. The problem is with Gen Z and people that are out here dating now is they've forgotten that.
Did they forget it or were they reprogrammed?
I wouldn't say they were reprogrammed.
I will. Can we talk about the power of social media? Can we talk about the power of birth control?
Okay.
Can we talk about how those two things alone have restructured our entire existence as humans? And yes, monogamy still exists. I think it's a beautiful union. I think it's important, but I don't think it is the only way. Yeah, I know Kevin Samuels will hear me when I say the divorce rate is what, 60%? The 40% that are left, 25% of that, they're not happy.
Do you know why?
Because of fucking social media and the idea of the grass is always greener on the other side, and the idea that we have all these options in front of us, and the idea that we're comparing our mate to some Instagram model that we saw, the idea that we are controlling our bodies with our hormones, with birth control, deciding when, where, and how to have babies. We are basically taking control of our situation in ways that we do not know what those repercussions are going to look like. But I will tell you one thing, the divorce rate is what it is because of the advent of social media, the ideas of, man, we didn't even start talking about AI.
I would say, everybody that I've known that's going through a divorce, it has nothing to do with that. They have forgotten their purpose.
But why did they forget their purpose, Tasha?
Because
people are easily manipulated.
I wouldn't say
people are easily. Okay, there's this one.
Go ahead.
There's this one study done where it's like a blue circle and a red circle, and they sit people in the room and they say, which circle is bigger, the red circle or the blue circle? Anybody who thinks the red circle is bigger, raise their hand. You got a sect of people. Anybody who thinks the blue circle is bigger, raise their hand. And they have, people raise their hand. And at the end of the survey, they say these are the same size.
It's perception.
Exactly, which means as humans, we are easily manipulated.
But how were they manipulated if they were just asked a question? Manipulation takes an art. It's an art of...
Have you not seen how beautiful Instagram is?
Instagram is beautiful, but
if I'm a man and I've never been exposed to, let's say, pornography.
Okay.
Right? I got my wife. I got my kids. I'm living a happy life. I don't know anything outside of that.
Okay.
All of a sudden, one day, I turn on Google and I see some titties.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! I am feeling something different outside of my norm.
Mm-hmm. But you can see some titties in person, you're gonna feel something different.
Well, sure.
You're a man.
Sure.
You're attracted to that.
But I don't have to do anything to open my Google search and see a bunch of Instagram models. My point is...
But when you go out in public, you can see a bunch of Instagram models. You see attractive women all the time that are naked.
Yeah.
Especially here in Miami.
Well...
Okay.
My point is, we need to have grace for how things are moving forward. Because we are in an epidemic.
I'm selling coach. I'm selling coach. I'm selling coach. I'm selling. Okay.
So a lot of shit pissed me off. Like we got Dr. Elom or Elom. Well, anyway, and Tasha K having an interview. You know, I like him because he went on to pop the balloon and was, telling women how he feels about their appearance. And they were clearly attracted to him, and he's grown a quite a following off the pump the balloon thing, and now Tasha K is interviewing him. He's a doctor and stuff like that, so he's took time to develop himself and be the best version of himself that he can be. So obviously, the woman was googly eyed over him, and he was just sitting there doing the qualifications thing with them, saying that they don't qualify in this standard or that standard, whatever the case might be. But here we go back with the same old 2021 talking point. It's almost 2025 and we're still talking about sexual marketplace, why the divorce rate so low, how social media is affecting the dating marketplace and all this type of stuff. We already know what the hell we're doing with this dating marketplace, all right? If everything's monetized from grannies on Instagram trying to catch a young dude to young women trying to catch an older dude. I mean, what are we really talking about? We're really not talking about people trying to actually meet and develop a relationship online. We can't be talking about that because most of the time they meet online, they're not really looking for long-term relationships. They're all looking for short-term relationships, and half the time these short-term relationship might be 4 or 5 years, and it ends up going to waste after a kid or just failed house purchase or whatever the hell they're going to try to do to further their relationship and bring themselves together. Because people always be in a relationship and they want to go further. You know what I'm saying? Come together and be like, okay, we're going to buy a house together. We're going to have a kid together. We're going to do this, not a car together. Whatever the case might be, they still end up splitting up and having to divide these assets that they accumulated together. Now we're talking about dating marketplace, right? They're saying fours is acting like nines, blah, blah, blah. We call them 49ers, right? People saying that everybody has a skewed vision of their self. And so every time you look in the mirror, you don't really see yourself getting older. Every time you look in the mirror, you see the best version of yourself. We're really not gonna point out all our flaws every day and we looking at us, oh look at this, oh look at that, I'm messed up here, messed up, whatever the case might be. You know, we're not really doing that. So we just see ourselves in the mirror, okay, I look good. All right, I'm out the door. You know what I'm saying? Now when the stranger that never met you, and first impressions are everything. I never met you and they're saying hi, how you doing or whatever, and y'all might be flirting or whatever. She's seeing all your flaws, he's seeing all your flaws, and you're not looking as attractive as you might think you look before you walked out the door. All right. This is the bullshit that I keep saying. Well, how are we back on the same point? We know everything is monetized. We know everything is not as cut and dry and it's all loop de loo and yes means no and no means yes, but don't try that in certain situations. But anyway, it doesn't make sense for a man to constantly say, "Oh, she's a 8 and she deserves this or wants that," or because people are people. Can I get straight to the point? People are people. That means you're going to be dealing with a lot of things with a person: jealousy, envy, stress, anything like this, anxiousness. And you're constantly trying to manipulate the situation to where it's not affecting you as badly as it might be affecting the person that you're dealing with. And when you're dealing with somebody that's anxious, greedy, envious, whatever the case might be, because it's a person, you're gonna have to deal with any backlash that come with. So you seen the 4 or the 8 or whatever, and you decide to get in a relationship with. After that, what is the cause of the relationship? Is it just sex? Is it making a baby? Is it buying a house? Is it buying a car? Is it getting her on her feet? Is it getting you on your feet? What is the purpose of the relationship? So, or is it just to have a long-term partner? 9 times out of 10, if they're just meeting online or meeting at a store, most of the time people not thinking about long-term partners anymore. There's a whole lot of short-term shit going on. And social media is supposedly to blame. This sexual marketplace 49ers is to blame. These people with high body counts is to blame. For me, I couldn't really tell you, but I'm just so surprised that we're still on this same old thing. And it's worldwide. If you're looking at the whole world, the birth rate is down everywhere. Yes, everywhere does have the internet. Yes. Do most women and men have a false perception of themselves and think that they're better or more beautiful than the next person and, and refuse to give the next person any time of day? Well, probably all of that, right? Probably the body counts, probably all the experience, or probably the motherfuckers is getting over on women or getting over on men, and they don't feel like they want to be a part of the money grab, right? Even in relationships, 50-50, whatever the case might be. Nobody wants to participate in the money grab. So, what the fuck is all this 2019 talking points now? Sexual marketplace, divorce rate down. We all know this shit. What we don't know is where it's all going to lead to. It is what it is. Silence is acceptance, and we ain't having it. Like, comment, subscribe.